described. Maybe get sweep.
All right, how's everybody doing? Hotep, everybody. All right, how's everybody doing? Hotep, hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, writer. And okay, so the sound is good. All right, so I was trying to broadcast on Facebook Live, and some reason it's not working. So we're broadcasting here on YouTube. And I wanted to talk about this breaking news story. It came out a couple of hours ago or so. It has been updated in the last couple of hours. And this is regarding Facebook, all right? So everybody share this broadcast on your, share this broadcast on YouTube, share this broadcast on your social media platforms, okay? Invite your friends to tune in. All right, so Facebook has announced today, it's Tuesday, July 31st, 2018. They announced today that they have uncovered a coordinated disinformation operation ahead of the 2018 midterm elections. Now, we know the 2018 midterm elections are November 6, 2018, okay? Basically 99 days away. And they have, the Washington Post had a big article about this, and also New York Times, as well as NBCnews.com. Okay, so it's been a big story today. How's everybody doing? All right, so let's deal with this. This is extremely important because this deals with, we know during the 2016 election, we had a lot of Russian involvement, and Russians took out 3,500 ads on Facebook, spent about $100,000. These ads reached about 100 million people, about 130 million people. So if we look at this article from WashingtonPost.com, Facebook says it has uncovered a coordinated disinformation operation ahead of the 2018 midterm elections. It talks about how this involved 32 false or fake pages and profiles on Facebook, engaging in divisive messaging ahead of the 2018 midterm elections. The social media company said that it could not tie the activity to Russia, okay, which interfered on its platform during the 2016 presidential election. But Facebook said the profiles shared a pattern. The profiles shared a pattern of behavior with the previous Russian disinformation campaign, which was led by a group with Kremlin ties called the Internet Research Agency, the Internet Research Agency. And we know, if you saw the show that I did, the African History Network show that I did back on July 22nd, we dealt with the article from the New York Times, which talked about how from the beginning, Donald Trump knew that Russia was involved in the meddling in the midterm elections, okay? Donald Trump was briefed January 6, 2017, and he was briefed by the heads of the intelligence agencies, and they showed him overwhelming evidence proving that it was Vladimir Putin who ordered the cyber attacks, ordered the hacking of the DNC, as well as of the Hillary Clinton campaign emails also, okay? And there was a big article from the New York Times about that. And I'll try to grab that article here. But if you go back and look at the show we did July 22nd, I went deep into that. Yeah, so it's called From the Start, Trump Has Muddied a Clear Message, Putin Interfered. That's from July 18th, 2018, New York Times. From the start, Trump has muddied a clear message, Putin interfered, okay? How's everybody doing today on YouTube? Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. Okay, so we're dealing with this news story here. You'll hear a lot about it you'll see a lot about it also on social media today as well, okay? And then also, hey, if you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com also. If you want to advertise with the African History Network. How you doing, Ronald and Earl? Okay, how you all doing? All right, we'll place your 60-second commercial into the audio podcast of the weekly African History Network show that I do. And we're on 6 different podcast platforms also, okay? All right, so let's go back to this article here. All right, so, so Facebook briefed congressional aides this week. A congressional aide said that there's no evidence that political candidates were targeted in this new disinformation effort, but that pages and accounts sought to spread politically divisive content around social issues. They wanted to spread politically divisive content around social issues. This is the same pattern that the Russian hackers in the disinformation campaign from Russia on Facebook, this is the same thing that they did, okay? So, quote, it is clear that whoever set up these accounts went to much greater lengths to obscure their true identities than the Russian-based Internet Research Agency, IRA, has in the past, Facebook said in a post. Quote, we believe this could be partly due to changes we've made over the last year to make this kind of abuse much harder, but security is not something that's ever done. Security is not something that's ever done. We face determined, well-funded adversaries who will never give up and are constantly changing tactics. It's an arms race. It's an arms race, and we need to constantly improve, okay? So if we look at just what's happened in the past couple of weeks, and even today, NBCnews.com has an article, and I'll pull it up here because Kirsten Nielsen, Director of Homeland Security, once again came out today and said that Russia was behind the hacking and the interference in the 2016 election. Okay, check. We'll post a link of this article here. This is from NBCnews.com. This is about 4 hours ago, July 31st, 2018. Trump's DHS chief Kirsten Nielsen, Director of Homeland Security, or Department of Homeland Security, she said, quote, let me be clear, it was the Russians, end quote, okay? And if we look at this, it says one of Donald Trump's top cabinet officials told a gathering of cybersecurity leaders Tuesday that Russians attacked the 2016 presidential election and that, quote, America will not tolerate this meddling, end quote, okay? Quote, 2 years ago, a foreign power launched a brazen, multifaceted influence campaign to distort our presidential election. Okay, she said, let me be clear, our intelligence community had it right. It was the Russians, end quote. She should tell her boss that because he keeps backing up. She should tell her boss that. That's the real problem, Trump. Okay, as I said a couple weeks ago, July 22nd, when I dealt with the topic, is Donald Trump a traitor? We dealt with the fact that Donald Trump is most likely the first Russian president of the United States, and I think he's a Manchurian candidate also, okay? So people need to read the article from the start. Trump has muddied a clear message, Putin interfered. It was a huge story from the New York Times. We'll post a link here also for this as well. Okay, let's try this here. Let's post this link also. Okay. Well, let me post it. It's too long. All right. I'll post the name of it, and it's from the New York Times, so you can Google it and read it yourself. All right. Okay. Okay. So let's continue here. All right. I'm trying to post this title. All right. There we go. Okay. So let's continue here. All right, so in recent weeks, leaders in the administration, including Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats, DNI, Director of National Intelligence, the 16 U.S. intelligence agencies report to the Director of National Intelligence. Dan Coats have said that active campaigns were taking place on social media. Okay, in recent weeks, leaders in the administration, including Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats, have said that active campaigns were taking place on social media. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. Okay, this was the article from the Washington Post. It was last updated at 2:13 p.m. today. Okay, the White House did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. I wonder why. So the pages Facebook disclosed on Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, promoted an event pegged as a counter rally to a far right march, okay, scheduled for next weekend in Washington, D.C. Facebook said that the urgency of the upcoming rally prompted them to publicize the information, even though it is in the early stages of an investigation. The company, which identified the pages 2 weeks ago and has since removed them, said in June of 2018 that it had found no such activity. Okay, in June 2018, it said they found no such activity. All right, so the 32 pages found, Facebook pages found, had from 16,000 to 18,000 followers. There was no specific evidence that political candidates were targeted. Okay, there was no specific evidence that political candidates were targeted, but one account found an IRA associated account for a brief period of time. All right. Now, Senator Mark Warren, Democrat from Virginia, said, quote, today's disclosure is further evidence that the Kremlin continues to exploit platforms like Facebook to sow division and spread disinformation. Okay, today's disclosure is further evidence that the Kremlin continues to exploit platforms like Facebook, okay, to sow division and spread disinformation. And I am glad that Facebook is taking some steps to pinpoint and address this activity. Okay, quote, I also expect Facebook, along with other platform companies, will continue to identify Russian troll activity and to work with Congress on updating our laws to better protect our democracy in the future. Okay, so that's Senator Mark Warren, Democrat from Virginia. All right. Now, in the run-up to the 2016 election, Russian operatives used hundreds of accounts to spread false and divisive messages on issues including gun control and immigration. These messages went viral, reaching more than 100 million Americans, okay? On Facebook, it was about 130 million that these messages hit. And if you listen to my radio show, I was doing radio 5 days a week back at that time during the 2016 election. And I was talking about the fake news stories. I was talking about these articles coming up from these news websites, claiming to be news websites I had never seen before. I monitor about 35 different news sources on a daily basis. I know the real news websites. I know the fake news websites. There was one fake news website. There was one fake website called abcnews.com, abcnews.com, okay? Well, I knew it was fake because that's not the name, that's not the domain name of ABC News website. Their website is abcnews.go.com, abcnews.go.com. I'm on that website almost every day. So when I see abcnews.com, I automatically know that's a fake site. And they're posting all types of crazy articles, things like this, Hillary Clinton, this and all this, just fake. So one of the things that I do when I see suspicious websites like that, I go to the website and I start looking at certain things. One of the things I look at is the About Us section, About Us, where they tell about themselves. A lot of times in the About Us section on these fake websites, it'll tell you that their articles are satirical. It's satire, which means it's fake, okay? But this particular website, I went and another thing I do is I look at some of the other articles on the website, right? So the fake ABC News website, all the articles were written by the same guy. All the articles were written by the same guy. So right there, that tells you, oh no, this is a fake website. Okay. So I'm in media. I do radio here in Detroit, 9, 10 a.m. the Superstation. I've been doing radio on different platforms for 8 years. I do about between 6 to 10 hours of research a day. So I know the real news sources from the fake ones. Okay. All right. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network show. We're talking about this breaking news story. Facebook announced that it has uncovered a coordinated disinformation operation ahead of the 2016 midterm elections, which are about 99 days away, November 6, 2018. And you know, I will see different things on Facebook, and I know, you know, some of these people are trolls. I don't know if they're Russians, but some of them are trolls, just putting out just all type of crazy, divisive, nonsensical posts. Okay, so we have to watch out for that as well. All right, so let's continue with this. Okay, and if you like the type of information we share at the African History Network, a couple of things you can do. Hey, you can donate to the African History Network if you like. PayPal.me, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. And that helps us stay on the air, keep doing the research, keep broadcasting, etc., pay the bills. Also, you know, I teach online courses. We have a bundle pack now, 10 of my online courses. They're all on demand, on sale $60, regularly $130. It includes Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we just posted the link there. Also, it's right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right. Okay, so these messages that were floating around during the 2016 campaign, there were ads taken out, these fake ads taken out. And these messages went viral, reaching more than 100 million Americans. Now, the revelations, which spilled out in fall 2017, led to congressional hearings and growing calls in Washington, D.C. to regulate technology giants. A pending bill proposed by Senator Mark Warren, Democrat from Virginia, is called the Honest Ads Act. The Honest Ads Act, ADS. And this act would hold technology companies that publish political ads to the same disclosure responsibilities as broadcasters, because in radio and TV, they're regulated by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, when it comes to political ads. So there's standards that have to be met, okay? And this ad will hold social media companies, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, things like this, to that same standard, okay? Which is extremely important. All right. So Washington Post had that article today. If we go back and NBC News had an article about that as well. We'll come to that in just a minute here. But if we go back and we look at couple of articles that dealt with the disinformation campaign from 2016. Washington Post has one from September 25th, 2017, September 25th, 2017. And this one is entitled, Russian Operatives Used Facebook Ads to Exploit America's Racial and Religious Divisions. Russian operatives used Facebook ads to exploit America's racial and religious divisions. And it talks about how the batch of more than 3,000 Russian bought ads that Facebook is preparing to turn over to Congress back at this time, September 2017, show a deep understanding of social divides in American society, with some ads promoting African-American rights groups, including Black Lives Matter, and others suggesting that these same groups pose a rising political threat. Say people familiar with the covert influence campaign. The Russian campaign taking advantage of Facebook's ability to send contrary messages to different groups of users based on their political and demographic characteristics also sought to sow discord among religious groups. Other ads highlighted support for Democrat Hillary Clinton among Muslim women. These targeted messages, along with others that have surfaced in recent days, highlight the sophistication of an influence campaign slickly crafted to mimic and infiltrate U.S. political discourse, while also seeking to heighten tensions between groups already wary of one another. Now, this was during the 2016 election cycle. Look at what's going on now with Trump in office and the rise in hate crimes, the rise in bigotry, the rise in hatred, the attack on African-American football players. You see in Florida, you see the shooting of Marquise McLaughlin, okay, who was trying to defend his family from this crazy white man who's yelling at his fiance and cursing at her over a handicapped parking space. This guy wasn't a police officer. Who gave him the authority to challenge whether or not somebody should be parked in a handicapped parking space? But we're seeing a rash of killings of African Americans by police and by vigilantes, right? So there's a concerted effort to take down these ads and keep them from happening during this midterm election, so we don't have a repeat of what happened during 2016. Because Dan Coates, other heads of the you have Dan Coates, you have Mike Pompeo, who's with the head of the State Department now, was CIA director. You had Christopher Wray, FBI director. They have all said, they testified in front of Congress. They all said Russia has not left. They're like, no, Russia has not left. They're still here. And they said they were meddling in this campaign and they're doing it now. Okay, so check out this article here. This is from September 2017. Okay, just to give a recap of what was found and what happened. This is from Washington Post. We'll post the name of the article because the link is too long to post here. Okay, so check that out. How you doing, Felicia? Earl said, good point. Information infiltration has become a cloud of misleading knowledge. I want to keep it. I want to know if it's generated by robotics or human trolls. Oh, well, they have, I know they had bots, but they have human trolls also. They have human trolls as well. I know there were Russian bots. There was an article from, I think it was New York Times. Give me a second. I have thousands of articles bookmarked, man. I have a whole file on this stuff. Okay, let's see. So this was dealing with Twitter. This was National Public Radio. This article here. Let's pull this one up. And I thought there was one from the Times. There's another one from CBS News. Okay, let's go to the one from CBS News. Russian bots still interfering in U.S. politics after election, says expert witness. This was from March 30th, 2017. Russian bots still interfering in U.S. politics after election, says expert witness. And in the article from CBSNews.com, it says Russia had the capacity to influence key precincts in swing states with fake news disseminating bots during the 2016 presidential election, and could still be disrupting American politics, experts said Thursday in the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, on Intelligence's first public Russia hearing. Russia had every ability to create fake social media accounts by mimicking profiles of voters in key election states and precincts in the 2016 election, and use a mix of bots and real people to push propaganda from state-controlled media outlets like Russia Today, RT, Russia Today, and Sputnik. Cybersecurity experts told the U.S. Senate panel on Thursday. Clinton Watts, who's a former FBI agent, and he's a contributor and an analyst on MSNBC. Now, Clint Watts, he was the one, you may have seen the viral video. He was testifying in front of Congress, and he was talking about the Russian involvement in the campaign and things like this. And he said, follow the trail of dead Russian bodies. Follow the trail of dead Russian bodies. That's Clint Watts, all right? And he talked about this. He said, you got a lot of dead Russians popping up who either have ties to the Kremlin or have spoken out against certain things. Let me pull that one up because I have a few articles on that. Yeah, right here, rawstory.com. I was just looking at that a couple of days ago. So rawstory.com has an article about that with the actual video clip of him testifying in front of Congress. This article is entitled, Follow the Trail of Dead Russians If You Want to Crack 2016 Election Interference, Senate Intel Witness. This is Clint Watts, former FBI agent. He's a terrorism and espionage expert. It says terrorism and espionage expert Clint Watts told the Senate Intelligence Committee on Thursday that if they wanted to understand Russian interference in the 2016 election, they need to follow the trail of dead Russians. Follow the trail of dead Russians, okay? So check this out here also. Something going on with the audio. Let's see here. I may have too many tabs open, so stand by. Let's post this link here. Okay, that's to the article from rawstory.com dealing with follow the trail of dead Russians. Okay. Now, if we go back to the article from here, let me try to close some of these tabs. I got about 80 tabs open in Firefox. So hold on just a second. And I'm gonna give you this other one from National Public Radio, NPR.org. How Russian Twitter bots pumped out fake news during the 2016 election. This is from April 3rd, 2017. And they interviewed Clint Watts also in here as well, okay? How Russian Twitter bots pumped out fake news during the 2016 election. Okay, this is NPR.org, National Public Radio. All right, let's post this here also. All right, just a second. Here we go. Can y'all hear me okay? All right, let's shut that down. This clip of Donald Trump playing from New York Times. We can close that one out. We can close this one out here. Give you this article. Give you the name of that one. That's the one from NPR.org. All right, let's close some of these tabs out. Okay, and this is the one from CBSNews.com. Russian bots still interfering in U.S. politics after the election, says expert witness. This is from March 30th, 2017. This is from March 30th, 2017. Okay. All right. Okay, so another article from last year. Hold on, I got to show you this one here. Where is that? Because I'm monitoring the story on the printing of the 3D printing of guns. And I knew this was coming. I've been following that story for the past few days. But the deadline, they're going to print they're going to publish the instructions on the website with 12 a.m. August 1st. The whole story is crazy. Whole story is crazy. This is a reversal of an Obama era policy because the Trump administration dropped a lawsuit to stop the publishing of these instructions on the website. This is crazy, man. And see, this is, I'm gonna give you this other article here just a minute, because this is like really important. But this is what I tried to explain to people during the 2016 election. They thought the 2016 election was between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and it wasn't. It wasn't between two people. It was dealing with policies, it was dealing with ideologies, and it's dealing with the trajectory of the country. And people still haven't figured this out today. People still haven't figured this out today. This is more than just about one person. There are 4,000 positions that Trump has to fill in his administration. Okay. People, I mean, if you look at what Betsy DeVos is doing with the Department of Education, it's horrific. I mean, they're cutting like $13 billion in aid to students who have been ripped off by for-profit colleges. I mean, what Betsy DeVos is doing just with the Department of Education is horrific, which is drastically going to negatively impact African Americans, because it was President Obama who shut down a lot of predatory colleges like ITT Tech. And the predatory colleges disproportionately targeted African Americans and Hispanics, got them to take out these exorbitant loans. Then they can't find jobs, okay? Because a lot of these colleges they're for profit. They did a poor job of job placement. These people can't find jobs now. Now they're stuck with these loans. The loans going to default possibly, okay? Now they have these huge debts, all right? So President Obama shut down a lot of these for-profit colleges. Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Miseducation, what she's doing is reversing a lot of the restrictions on these for-profit colleges. But keep in mind, Donald Trump was the one who set up a fake university and was sued by the state of New York and had to pay a $24 million settlement plus a $24 million settlement plus a $1 million fine. Yeah, he ended up settling that case after he said he wasn't going to settle. He set up a fake university, Trump University, for-profit university. And then he appoints Betsy DeVos, Betsy DeVos is from Michigan. Now, we've been dealing with Betsy DeVos for years because Betsy DeVos and her husband, Dick DeVos, they are like the main, they're like the main force behind the charter school initiative in the state of Michigan, especially in Detroit. And they've helped to really destroy the Detroit public school system, okay? Because at one time you had like 200 Detroit public schools. Now you got about 100 Detroit public schools and 100 charter schools. And the charter schools, the students are taking funding away from the traditional public schools going to the charter schools. And a lot of these charter schools are for-profit charter schools, okay? So we already knew about Betsy DeVos and Dick DeVos here in Detroit and in the state of Michigan. Most people didn't know about her until you had the hearings, the senatorial hearings, the Senate confirmation hearings, okay, for her. That's when the rest of America found out about her. But we already knew about this woman. And we knew she was totally unqualified to be Secretary of Education. She's never worked in education. She's never been a teacher, principal. She's never been a lunch lady. Her children didn't go to public schools, nothing. Okay. And the Secretary of Education, the Department of Education, is not just over public schools and charter schools and private schools. They're also over all the colleges, all the universities, all the trade schools. This is the Department of Education. Okay, so this other article, that I wanted to give you, this is from 2017. And what's the name of this one here? Yeah, this one right here. Russian Facebook ads showed a Black woman firing a rifle amid efforts to stoke racial strife. See, people still don't understand the Russian involvement, what was going on in 2016. This article is from October 2nd, 2017. Last year, October 2nd, 2017, Washington Post. Russian Facebook ads showed a Black woman firing a rifle amid efforts to stoke racial strife. Okay, now if you look at the study from Scientific American that came out a few months ago, and I wanted to do a broadcast. I was so busy I didn't get a chance to do a broadcast about this one. This dealt with guns in America. Okay, and this dealt with how you have 327 million people in America, and you have 300 million guns. You got 327 million people in America, and you have 300 million guns. 78% of the population don't own guns. Okay, can y'all hear me okay? 78, I'm gonna pull this up here. This is from Scientific American, and then all the news outlets wrote stories about this. It's called, Why Are White Men Stockpiling Guns? Why are white men stockpiling guns? 78% of the US population don't own guns. 50% of the guns in this country are owned by 3% of the population, and they're not African Americans. It's white men. 3% of the US population owns 50% of the 300 million guns, okay? Research suggests it's largely because they're anxious, white men, about their ability to protect their families, insecure about their place in the job market, and beset by racial fears. Beset by racial fears. Translation, they're scared of Black men, okay? This is from Scientific American, scientificamerican.com. This is from March 14th, 2018. Okay, why are white men stockpiling guns? Since the 2008 election of President Barack Obama, who was officially president, a real president, the number of firearms manufactured in the US has tripled. Since the 2008 election of President Obama, the number of firearms manufactured in the US has tripled, while the imports of firearms has doubled. This does not mean more households have guns than before. That percentage has stayed fairly steady for decades. Rather, more guns are being stockpiled by a smaller number of individuals. 3% of the population now owns half of the country's firearms, says a recent definitive study from the Injury Control Research Center at Harvard University. So who is buying all of these guns? Is it brothers in the hood? No. The short, broad brush answer to the first part of that question is this: men, who on average possess almost twice the number of guns female owners do, but not all men. Some groups of men are more avid gun consumers than others. The American citizen most likely to own a gun is a white male, but not just any white male. According to a growing number of scientific studies, the kind of man who stockpiles weapons or applies for a concealed carry license meets a very specific profile. These are men who are anxious about their ability to protect their families, insecure about their place in the job market, and beset by racial fear. Sounds like the guy who shot Marquise McLaughlin down in Florida. Okay, he's going to take it upon himself to regulate the handicapped parking spaces. They tend to be less educated. Sounds like him. For the most part, they don't appear to be religious, and suggest and one study suggests faith seems to reduce their attachment to guns. Faith seems to reduce their attachment to guns. Okay, can you all hear me okay? In fact, stockpiling guns seems to be a symptom of a much deeper crisis in meaning and purpose in their lives. Stockpiling guns seems to be a symptom of a much deeper crisis in meaning and purpose in their lives. Okay, taken together, these studies describe a population that is struggling to find a new story, one in which they are once again the heroes. So, in other words, they took this long paragraph to say this: they're trying to preserve genetic white survival, and they are fearing the browning of America. They are trying to preserve genetic white survival. Now, this is not all white men, but the ones they're talking about here, they're trying to preserve genetic white survival. They are fearing the browning of white America. They're fearing the browning of America. And probably almost all of them voted for Donald Trump because he spoke to this. But Donald Trump is a con man. So he's screwing them over. His tariffs are screwing them over. His tax cut, giving 83% of the benefits to the top 1%, this $1.4 trillion tax cut is screwing them over. Inflation is at a 6-year high, which has wiped out any increase in the wage growth, the 2.5, 2.6% wage growth that Trump is talking about. And wage growth started under President Obama going back 2015, 2016. It didn't just start with Trump. But inflation's at a 6-year high, so it's wiped that out. And now you're starting to see stories about the rising cost of goods, the rising cost of food and things like this because of the tariffs this fool has put on, starting a trade war. Okay. Okay, Conscious One, how you doing? Sound keeps breaking up. I'm not sure why the sound keeps breaking. Let me try to refresh the screen. Let's see if this works. Stand by. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's try to refresh the screen. See if this clears it up. All right. Okay. Hopefully we're still broadcasting. Okay, let's see here. All right. Can y'all hear me? Okay, can y'all hear me? All right. So we got Jeff, we have Earl. Okay, so we should be good because I hear myself. Okay. All right. So let's continue here. All right, how's everybody doing? Hey, if you're just tuning in, this is Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network show, founder of the African History Network. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. If you like this type of information, hey, you can, if you want to, you can donate to the African History Network. That helps us keep broadcasting, keep doing the research, stay on the air. PayPal.me, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. Also, you can advertise with the African History Network. So I do our radio show on Sunday nights, and we put your 60-second commercial into the audio podcast of our radio show. We're on 6 different podcast platforms. We're on, now this is not the radio show, this is Facebook Live, the actual radio show. Sunday night, podcast, put your 60-second commercial in it. We're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, TuneIn, Castbox, FM Player, Acast, and I just submitted the application early this morning, about 2 in the morning. I just submitted the application to Stitcher. Stitcher.com to get our podcast on Stitcher.com also. Okay, so we reach thousands of people across the country. We have a special promotion: buy 1 month, get 1 month free. Buy 1 month, get 1 month free. So if you want to advertise your African American owned business with the African History Network, email us customer service@africanhistorynetwork.com. Okay? And then lastly, before we get back to this article, how's everybody doing? Lastly, you can I teach online courses. They're all on demand. We deal with thousands of years of history. We have a special bundle pack. You get 10 online courses on sale $60, regularly $130. It includes understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. It also includes great African women in history, the mothers of civilization, and also African American resistance in the era of Donald Trump, voter suppression, reparations, and how elections have consequences. Okay, and an online class I did dealing with the film Black Panther. Okay, I don't know what's going on with the sound. I'm trying to work through this. So I just posted the link to the article from Scientific American. Why are white men stockpiling guns? Why are white men stockpiling guns? Read that. Okay, I don't have time to get through the whole thing. Okay. Yeah, we have to continue the NFL boycott also. I'm going to do another, I'm going to do a broadcast dealing with Dak Prescott and Malcolm Jenkins, what's going on there. And the NFL came out and spoke out against Jerry Jones and told him basically to stop talking about the NFL policy on kneeling. They basically put a gag on him, basically told him to stop talking about this. Okay, Jerry Jones, Donald Trump supporter, who said that his team will stand, and if one of the players don't stand, they'll be punished, they'll be fined. Well, oh no, they'll be off the team. That's basically what he said. They'll be off the team. Okay, so you have a lot of these white supremacist owners like this. All right. So let me go to this last article here. Let's go back to this one here. This is important. Russian Facebook ads showed a Black woman firing a rifle amid efforts to stoke racial strife. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this, and investigators believe the advertisement may have been. So this article is from October 2nd, 2017. Okay, but this was during the 2016 election cycle. One of the Russian-bought advertisements that Facebook shared with congressional investigators on Monday in October or late September, featured photographs of an armed Black woman, quote unquote, dry firing a rifle, pulling the trigger of the weapon without a bullet in the chambers, dry firing, according to people familiar with the investigation. Investigators believe the advertisement may have been designed to encourage African-American militancy and at the same time to stoke fears within white communities, people said, speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss the probe. But the precise purpose of the ad remains unclear to investigators, people said. Now, what happens is ads like this will cause more people to come out and vote for Donald Trump because there's a fear of African Americans with guns. And Donald Trump ran on the platform of law and order. See, so I've done a whole lecture, and I've done a couple versions of them, and I've done an online class called African American Resistance in the Era of Donald Trump, Voter Suppression, Reparations, and How Elections Have Consequences. And I deal with things like this because, see, Trump was a backlash to 2 terms of President Barack Obama, first African-American president, and any perceived gains that African Americans made during this period of time, okay? He was a backlash to the Black Lives Matter movement. He was a backlash to the protests that were taking place across the country, protests for Eric Garner, okay? Protests for Tamir Rice, protests dealing with against police brutality, things like this. Trump ran on the platform of law and order. Law and order basically means to protect white people and lock up African Americans, okay? This is basically what law and order means. Protect white people and lock up African Americans. So Trump ran on this platform. Trump also is against basically holding police officers accountable for police misconduct, for police brutality, things like this, right? During the campaign, Mike Pence who was governor of Indiana at the time, and Trump's running mate, who's now vice president, Mike Pence, on the campaign, said that he and Donald Trump think there's too much talk about implicit bias in policing. Okay, he said they think there's too much talk about implicit bias in policing. All right, and he felt that they should stop talking about it. Well, how are you going to address the issue if you don't want to talk about it? And as you see, during his campaign, during his administration, they haven't said anything about implicit bias in policing. He nominates Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III to be Attorney General. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III was determined to be too racist to be a federal judge back in 1986. Now he is Attorney General. Okay, so too many of us were too naive and didn't see this coming. This is why I explained to people. This is not about one candidate versus another candidate. This is dealing with policies, and this is dealing with the trajectory of the country. Okay? We did not understand that, and many of us still don't understand that today. All right, so this article here at newsone.com, this deals with Mike Pence, okay? Mike Pence and implicit bias. Newsone.com, implicit bias in policing. Okay, now it's freezing up here. Let me stand by. Let me try to refresh this here, because this is freezing up here. I'm not sure why it's freezing up. Okay, so let's continue here. I just refreshed the screen here. So we should be all right. And be sure to follow us on our Facebook page, The African History Network, The African History Network on Facebook, The African History Network on Facebook, and on YouTube, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep, Michael Imhotep on YouTube, okay? All right. I want to go back to this article because this is extremely important here for us to understand this. The midterm elections are November 6, 2018. In Georgia, you have a bad sister named Stacey Abrams running for governor. This sister may pull it off too, because Georgia, the state of Georgia, has a changing demographics. More people of color are living in Georgia. This sister may pull this thing off in Georgia. All right. The apparent tactics underscores how the Russians use US-based technology platforms to target Americans with highly tailored and sometimes contradictory messages to exploit divisions in American society over the past 2 years. The ad was, so the ad of this African-American woman dry firing a rifle. The ad was among more than 3,000 Facebook ads delivered to congressional investigators that the company says were bought by 470 accounts and pages controlled by a Russian troll farm. The Internet Research Agency based in St. Petersburg, Russia. Okay, this is from the Internet. The Internet Research Agency was this Russian troll farm. So the full universe of words and images in those ads has not yet been made public, but early glimpses reported in the Washington Post and other news outlets show that the Russian campaign frequently sought to widen existing fractures in American society, while also helping to boost Republican Donald Trump's presidential campaign. And Trump honed in on these, honed in on these fears that white people had. He honed in on these fears that white people had, okay? He talked about Mexicans being criminals and rapists and things like this, undocumented immigrants. He talked about Mexicans, but what he did was basically extrapolated this over all Hispanics, because he's tapping into the fear of the browning of America. By 2043, there will be no one dominant racial group in this country. And a lot of white people have a fear of becoming a numerical minority. if we just look at the article, I posted it last night, okay? The July 30th, 2018 edition of The Last Word on MSNBC. Lawrence O'Donnell did a segment dealing with the browning of America, okay? And there was an article from Vox.com. Yes, so Ezra Klein wrote this article for Vox.com, VOX, called White Threat in a Browning America. Because I saw the segment, then I went and pulled up the article, posted the article on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. White Threat in a Browning America. How demographic change is fracturing our politics. How demographic change is fracturing our politics. Okay. First, I'll share the first two paragraphs with you because the first two paragraphs are really important. It says in 2008, Barack Obama held up change as a beacon, attaching to it another word, a word that channeled everything his young and diverse coalition saw in his rise in their newfound political power. The word hope, H-O-P-E. An America that would elect a Black man president was an America in which a future was being written that would read thrillingly different from our past. An America that would elect a Black man president was an America in which a future was being written that would read thrillingly different from our past. In 2016, Donald Trump wielded that same sense of change as a threat. In 2016, Donald Trump wielded that same sense of change as a threat. He was the revanchist voice of those who yearned to make America the way it was before, to make it great again. So Obama talked about hope and he talked about change for the better, changing for the future. Trump looked at the change as a threat, and his slogan was "Make America Great Again," because they want to go back to a time before they want to go back to Beaver Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver, Ward and June Cleaver, Ozzie and Harriet, Father Knows Best, Andy Griffith, Mayberry, Ain't B, Opie. They want to go back to this time before civil rights, before Brown versus Board of Education, May of 1954, before the Civil Rights Act of 64, before the Voting Rights Act of 65. They want to go back to that time. This is what Trump is talking about when he says make America great again, okay? This was, that was the impulse that connected the wall, the wall that Trump said Mexico was going to pay for. Now Trump is talking about 100 days before the midterm elections. Now he's talking about he may shut down the government if Congress doesn't fund this wall that he stood up here for months and said Mexico was going to pay for. Now he's trying to strong arm Congress to get the money for this wall. So that was the impulse that connected the wall to keep Mexicans out, the ban to keep Muslims away, demonizing Muslims, demonizing Mexicans. Mexicans is just a catch-all. That's just that's another phrase. That's just a euphemism for Hispanics in general. Okay, the birtherism meant to prove, because remember Trump was the head of the birther movement basically for 5 years. The birtherism meant to prove that President Barack Obama could not possibly be a legitimate president. An America that would elect Donald Trump president was an America in which a future was being written that could read thrillingly similar to our past. Okay, this is why I said, dude, when you had these elections, this ain't about one person against another person. This is about policies that will put a country on a trajectory into the future. So when you had Trump, now, if you notice Trump, what he does is, first of all, when his back is against the wall, when the Mueller investigation is heating up, he attacks three people or groups. He attacks Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or African Americans when his back is against the wall. Okay, this is who he tweets about. The other thing is he attacks the intelligence of African Americans. So he calls Maxine Waters low IQ. Okay, he didn't think that President Barack Obama could get the type of grades he got at Columbia University and Harvard. So he was demanding to see Barack Obama's transcripts from college. But Trump has never volunteered his transcripts from college that I know of. We definitely know he didn't show his tax returns. He hasn't volunteered his transcripts. Okay, so Trump has a habit of attacking the intelligence of African Americans as well, to try to demean us and dehumanize us also. All right. Okay, so check out this article here. Let me give you the link. This just came out on the 30th, July 30th. A lot of people haven't seen this. We posted this on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. It's from Vox.com, VOX. White Threat in a Browning America, How Demographic Change is Fracturing Our Politics. Okay. And not all white people, but you have a lot of white people who are scared to death because they don't know how to operate in a country where they are not the majority population. Okay. And many of them don't know how to handle that. And Donald Trump is not helping. This is why you have the attack on the Mexican border. And this is why you have the mistreatment of immigrants coming through the Mexican border, even blocking them from certain checkpoints when they're trying to legally claim political asylum. International political asylum is not illegal. That is legal based upon international treaties and international law, and the U.S. government helped to craft these international treaties and international laws. All right. So, but remember, it was Trump back in January 2018 in a meeting dealing with DACA, Deferred Action on Childhood Arrivals, who said he called African nations and Haiti and El Salvador S-hole countries. Okay. He said, why don't we have more people coming from countries like Norway? There is a attempt by the administration to limit, reduce the amount of immigration from countries, non-white countries, and to increase the amount of immigration from white countries. Okay, and all this has to do with the fearing of the browning of America, but also coupled with that is in 26 states out of 50, white people have a declining birth rate. And this is something that's not being talked about. June 20th and June 21st, there were a number of articles written about this. I talked about this on my radio show. New York Times had an article, June 20th, 2018, fewer births than deaths among whites in majority of U.S. states. Fewer births than deaths among whites in the majority of U.S. states. This was June 20, 2018. This is just about almost 2 months ago now. June 21st, 2018, or a month and a half ago. June 21st, 2018, MSN.com. America's white population shrinks for the first time as nation ages. June 21st, 2018. This was new information coming out from the Census Bureau. And this type of information has a lot of people scared. The census, so deaths now outnumber births among white people in more than half the states in the country, 26 out of 50, demographers have found, signaling what could be a faster than expected transition to a future in which whites are no longer a majority of the American population. Many white people saw Donald Trump as the great white hope, as their last hope. the Census Bureau has projected that whites could drop below 50% of the population around the year 2045, a relatively slow-moving change that has been years in the making. But a new report this week found that whites are dying faster than they are being born in 26 states out of 50. That's more than half the country. This was up from just 2 years ago when they had a declining birth rate in 17 states out of 50. Now it's 26 states out of 50 in just a 2-year period of time. And demographers say that this shift may come even sooner. One of the things that's behind this is the opioid addiction and the massive number of drug overdoses of white people from opioids. Now, quote, it's Rogelio Saenz, S-A-E-N-Z, who's a demographer at the University of Texas at San Antonio and co-author of this report, said, quote, it's happening a lot faster than we thought. It's happening a lot faster than we thought, quote unquote. Now, this report examines the period from 1999 to 2016 using data from the National Center for Health Statistics, the federal agency that tracks births and deaths, the National Center for Health Statistics. And Rogelio Saenz said he was so surprised at the finding that at first he thought it was a mistake, okay? And the pattern first started nearly 2 decades ago in a handful of states with aging white populations like Pennsylvania and West Virginia. But fertility rates dropped drastically after the Great Recession, and mortality rates for whites who are not of Hispanic origin have been rising, driven partly by drug overdoses. The opioid addiction is directly related to this. That has put demographic change on a faster track. The list of states where white deaths outnumber births now includes North Carolina and Ohio. Okay, you read the rest of this, okay? And then you look at the article from MSN.com, America's white population shrinks for the first time as nation ages. And it talks about how the average non-Hispanic white American is 43 and a half years old, okay? So basically, average white American, 43 and a half years old, according to the new data. The average Hispanic American, 29.3 years old. So you have aging white population with a higher average age, and they're basically having a higher mortality rate because they have a negative birth rate in 26 states out of 50, and you have a Hispanic population that has a positive birth rate and a younger average age at 29.3 years. Okay, and then also incidentally, the information, the U.S. Census Bureau released a report June 21st, 2018 that coincided with this information. And in that report, because I read a lot of it, the new population figures for Hispanics are 58.9 million Hispanics. This is as of the middle of 2017, and 47.4 million African Americans as of the middle of 2017. So that's like the most accurate number basically we have, unless the Urban League, State of Black America, they'll probably say 50 million, 52 million, something like that. But it's not 36 million. I still see people talking about 36 million here. There was 36 million back in about 1994. But 47.4 million is a safe, accurate number to go with. You can read the article from MSN.com. America's white population shrinks for the first time as nation ages. Okay, let's see here. Let's pull this up. I'll post this link here. America's white population shrinks for the first time. Okay. Yeah, and they say, yeah, America's white population shrinks for the first time as nation ages, MSN.com. Very, very good article. Okay. All right, how's everybody doing? Hey, share this broadcast on YouTube and share it on Twitter and all over. Now, Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. So we were talking about this breaking news story dealing with Facebook. And Facebook has revealed that it has shut down 32 Facebook pages. And Facebook says it has covered a coordinated disinformation operation ahead of the 2018 midterm elections. They haven't identified that these pages were Russian related, but it could be because they're using the same methodology to spread misinformation, disinformation, divisive information as the Russians did. Facebook said Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, that it had discovered a sophisticated, coordinated disinformation operation on its platform involving 32 false pages and profiles engaging in divisive messaging ahead of the November 6, 2018 midterm elections. And we know we have primaries also coming up. So it's not just the midterms that are about 99 days away. We also have primaries coming up August 7th, 2018 as well. In many states, we have primaries coming up also. Okay, so this is huge. JD said, man, this dude is surgical with the information. Taught me a lot so far. Hey, well, you know, I've been doing radio 8 years, man. I do research. This is, see this? This is just one of my 5 folders with research. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 file folders here. Then I got 2 crates full of file folders and articles. You know, so this is research. So, all right. This is just a sample. Okay, stand by. Hold on. Let's refresh the screen here. The internet keeps flickering here in the office, and I'm about to call Comcast because I just paid this high-ass Comcast bill, and I shouldn't have any problems. You know, I'm serious. I should not have any problems. Comcast should come cook dinner for me as much money as I spend with Comcast. All right. Okay. So I think that was I shared the article dealing with the really this last article here. Russian Facebook ads showed a Black woman firing a rifle amid efforts to stoke racial strife. And this is what things like this would do. There's a fear of African Americans with guns. There's a fear of the browning of America. And these are Russians behind this. This article came out October 2nd, 2017. I don't think I gave you this link. Hopefully this will post. So this is why we, you know, this stuff is real. Okay. All right, hold on. Give you the name of this article because the link is too long to post here. All right. Okay. What's this? He's trying to post the whole article. I don't want to do that. Just want to give you this title. Okay, Russian Facebook ads showed a Black woman firing a rifle amid efforts to stoke racial strife. That's Washington Post. There we go. Okay. All right. Once again, hey, if you want to advertise with the African History Network, you want to advertise your African American owned business with the African History Network, hey, email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. customer service at africanhistorynetwork.com. We broadcast our show on Sunday night, and then also broadcast I do during the week. We put 60-second commercial on those as well. But our broadcast on Sunday night, the African History Network show, we put your 60-second commercial in the audio podcast of it. Don't have a commercial, we'll record one for you. We reach people all across the country, thousands of people across the country on a weekly basis. We're on 6 podcast platforms: Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Castbox, FM Player, TuneIn.com, and Acast. I just submitted the application early this morning for Stitcher.com to be on Stitcher. At one point, we were on Stitcher. I don't know what happened. 2016, I don't know what happened, but I submitted it again to get our podcast on Stitcher.com also, okay? So we have a special promotion: buy 1 month, get 1 month free. Buy 1 month, get 1 month free. That's going on for a few more days because we have limited inventory. But email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Also, if you want to donate to the African History Network, like the type of information we share, you can donate paypal.me/the AHN show. That helps us to keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay the bills, etc. All of my DVD lectures are available at africanhistorynetwork.com. africanhistorynetwork.com. Okay, I have about 40 of my DVD lectures there. I have presentations dealing with the film Black Panther. I have a lot of information there, okay? africanhistorynetwork.com. And you can read my articles that I write there as well. And you can listen to the podcast of our shows also at africanhistorynetwork.com, okay? And lastly, okay, you got the link with the Facebook ad. The link with the Facebook ad, what do you mean? Email us at the link with the Facebook ad, what do you mean? And then also I teach online classes as well. So we have them all on demand. You don't have to worry about getting home at a certain time or tuning in at a certain time. We have a 10-course online bundle pack right now. You get 10 of my online courses. They're all on demand, on sale $60, regularly $130. Watch all around the world. They include Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. That's a 14-hour, 7-session online course that I've taught. It's on demand. We deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with the transatlantic slave trade, the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We deal with a lot of information. Also, you'll get the March 31st, I did a online class dealing with the film Black Panther, a Black Panther analysis. That's a deep film on multiple levels. A lot of people really don't understand the film. You have to understand African history, African spiritual systems, culture, language, because the word Wakanda is a real word. That's not a made-up word. It's a fictitious nation, but it's a real word. So you have to understand all this, and you have to understand the Black Panther comic book to understand the film. So I deal with that. Okay, the link was too long to post. So I posted the name of the article from the Washington Post. Russian Facebook ads showed a Black woman firing a rifle amid efforts to stoke racial strife. Okay, that the link was too long to post here. That's why I just posted the name of it. You just Google that. It's from Washington Post. It'll come up. All right. Okay. All right. And then, so we posted a link to the online classes. Also, that includes Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization, How Richard Nixon's War on Drugs, War on the African American Community, and some other ones as well. So that's $60, really $130. You can also buy them individually, the online classes also. You can stream them from around the world. They're all on demand, all right? Okay. All right, so look, we have to get out of here. Hey, remember at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. Also, I'll be in San Diego Friday, August 10th through Sunday, August 12th for Return of the Gods, the Real Family Reunion. I'm being honored this year. There'll be live up one of the honorees. I'll be speaking there. There'll be live hip hop performances. Come out for an amazing show of live hip hop, motivational speakers. It's hosted by comedian Michael Collier. You got Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian there, Brand Nubians. You got Rod Digger. Cyrock the MC is performing. You have Queen Afua, who's being honored. Professor Kaba Kamene, one of my teachers, he's being honored as well. So this is taking place Friday, August 10th through Sunday, August 12th. Return of the Gods, Real Family Reunion, San Diego. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. They're offering a 3-day package also, 3-day pass, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the information there also at this link also. So I'll be in San Diego, okay? The weekend of Friday, August 12th through the 13th, the 10th through the 13th, 10th through the 12th. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Hey, remember at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the compass of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Right now, it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Talk to you next time. Peace.